and the director's chair today. I'm Jeff. Thanks again. Man, you know, what a good day yesterday was. I got to tell you. What a good day to go back out there and start practice. In some ways, it feels like we were just there. We were just doing this. And then in others, it seems like it's been way too long. But I say it was a good day as I reflect on the first day of practice. I'll be back out there again today. Thank you to all who joined us on the live look-in from practice. I joined Tom as we reported from the practice fields. And Corey Clark did as well. And that was nice. It was a nice touch. It was a good idea Tom had, and I enjoyed doing it because I think that Florida State is about to be in a much better position. By the way, if you're watching on Warchant TV, don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you tell your friends, you hit the bell, and you do a little dance. So the thing of it is, I think, is honestly that I think Florida State's about to be a product that you can watch and be satisfied with. I think they're about to be a product that shows you signs of life. And I think that's the first time in a long time. We've spent a lot of time, speaking of time, hoping and projecting, speculating about what was possible and what had to happen for Florida State to take a step forward, what needs to happen for Florida State to matter. And it's kind of embarrassing in a way because when you're talking about trying to matter in the ACC, well, that's a disturbing subject matter. You know, you feel a little bit like Georgia Tech. You feel a little bit like, I guess, you know, to some degree, Duke and others in this conference that nobody thinks about. And Florida State should never be in that position. The infrastructure, the history, the investment over the years suggests that Florida State should never be in a position where they don't matter, where they're an afterthought, where, you know, you're going to have up years, down years, and everything in between. That is the life of a program. That's every program, tradition-laden or not. You're going to have ups and downs. But you should never at Florida State be in a prolonged period of absence, prolonged period of indifference where apathy sets in. It shouldn't happen. And it's what's happened to this program post-Jimbo. And really the last 2 years of Jimbo was a nightmare too. You could see this rapidly happen, the decline in the culture and the toxicity of that locker room. And lest we forget Jimbo's final season, at least in games that he coached, he had a losing record. So Florida State was well on their way to this nightmare that we find ourselves in. But I'm here to tell you that this isn't a depressing opening monologue. It is instead one that I think should provide an awful lot of hope, because yesterday was the first day that I went out there in a long time and not have to do a lot of twists and turns, a lot of manipulation with my mind. I didn't have to play a lot of games in my mind in order to see a path for Florida State to be good. I didn't have to do that. Normally I have to kind of, well, you know, if this happens and then this happens, we got a chance that maybe then this could happen and we get a few good bounces and everybody stays healthy, then perhaps, you know, there's a lot of that, a lot of caveats, a lot of things that you're trying to add to the conversation to infuse life. I don't think Florida State's going to have to do that. Tom, I want to bring you in because I've got to ask you this. I know you weren't there yesterday under the weather. I hope you're feeling better, buddy. But I think the one area that will keep Florida State from, I think, you know, the one area that will keep Florida State from perhaps excelling requisite the talent that they have is wide receiver. I think that's the only area that I'm still going to be quite concerned about with each passing day. Now, maybe we'll see those steps forward and the passing game will come along. And I'm not saying that because of yesterday, a day dominated by defense. Every first practice, every first week of practice, really every first 2 weeks of practice is typically dominated by defense. But I think this defense is going to own the receivers again at practice. I don't think there's going to be much of a change in that regard. There are other aspects of the offense that are going to be better. And I think the receivers are better. They're just not they're not above average. I don't think Florida State's receivers are above average. I'll tell you, I think Micah Pittman is going to be a star. But the problem is, I think people are going to figure that out pretty quickly. I think people are going to see that Micah Pittman is your weapon. He's the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you're protecting against the cliche and the truth that in every year except a COVID year, defense is ahead of offense early. That was the only time we've seen in college football history where offense was ahead of defense, seemingly across the country. So I get that, but I'm still going to use that cliche in defense of the receivers for now. If you get into week 2 of pads and it's still stifled, offensive production and receivers versus defensive backs one-on-ones up and down the lineup, then I'll ring the bell for concern. But the other thing is, if you're Micah Pittman and you're Florida State's best healthy receiver at this moment, and you're going up against Duke Cooper every day, that's going to be a tough matchup one-on-one. But, again, if you get to matchup number 5 down the line and nobody's winning and everybody's looking around when we get to watch 7-on-7s or 11-on-11 saying, would be nice if somebody could separate, then I'll feel a little bit more concerned. But I agree with you, though, that, look, it should play out over the 12 games that the defensive backs are better than the receivers, period. That's the way it should play out during the season, too.
I think it will, certainly in the case of Duke Cooper. I like the safeties. I think they're pretty deep there. Kevin Noles is a good player. They'll probably get somebody else to emerge as camp goes along that you'll feel really good about. I already do when it comes to Sam McCall and Azareye'h Thomas. They're just very young, so I hate to heap a ton of expectations onto very young players. Physically, they're different. They're different than everybody else. Those two guys in particular in that secondary are very different than everybody else. But, it's not unheard of that real young players, freshmen, have an impact, make a difference on a football team. Not anymore. It's not unheard of, especially if they're talented. And those two are immensely talented. How comfortable are they being out there in a game situation and understanding their roles and adjusting accordingly and all of those things? Because if they can do that, they certainly have immediately the physical tools to compete, those two guys.
Well, then I have a question for you because Corey mentioned it. It was something that Mike Norvell talked about in his post-practice press conference, say that 5 times fast, in which speed was an element of this first practice, even though they were in basically pajamas, I think as he put it. Look, they're able to go faster than they normally would for the first fall camp practice because they had 90% of the roster here.
That's correct.
Spring, so they could speed up. Corey termed it an install day almost. I'm sure you share that sentiment. Well, then how did guys like McCall and Azareye'h handle that? Because they were here in the spring, so it's not like they're completely green, but did they look okay handling the speed of practice and the advanced nature of it?
The defense certainly did, without question. They felt, you could tell those guys looked very comfortable. The defense is it's a group I'm excited about because last year, the massive confusion, game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, that really wore on you. You don't have a chance to win a football game when guys don't know what the hell they're doing. You can't play fast if you don't know what you're doing. If you're always thinking and you're worried about the guy next to you, you cannot win. You cannot compete. Last year was a unmitigated disaster to start the season. Now, they buckled up, and I give them credit because they figured it out. I mean, you were on the verge of having to call for Adam Fuller's head mid-season. I don't think that'll be the case this year. I think they'll come in and play well. They better. They've got some talent on that side of the ball. It's not just a matter of knowing what you're doing. Do you have guys that can play? And I think the answer to that is yes. There's not an element of this defense that is substandard. There's not an element of this defense that is well below average within the ACC. They're all average to above. If I'm grading out the units, I think there's no question. They're not. I don't. At no point are they a elite unit compared to, say, Clemson, right? You don't see that. Florida State's defensive line is good. It's not Clemson good. But there's no bad segment group. Even linebacker is much better. So they better be good. They better be a top 40 defense. They better be good. The advanced numbers, the metrics said they were a top 40 defense last year in the last 7 games. In fact, it says they were top 35 defense in the last 7 games. The numbers that I think take a snapshot of what you are said last year in the final 7 games, they were top 35 defense. Well, there's no reason to take a step back. I get that you lose a first-round draft pick off the edge that was a game changer. But I do think you gained in some other areas too, both in experience and talent. I think Tatum Bethune is a difference maker. And you weren't good at linebacker last year. You get a chance to be good at linebacker this year if your starters stay healthy. So that's a good sign. Offensively is where the concerns lie. That's not news. That's what we thought coming into the season. Can you get your passing game up to snuff? And I will tell you this, and I said it to you yesterday, Tom, and I'm excited to get back out there today just to look at it. This is the first time in a long time. I talked to a football guy. I talked to a former coach, college football coach, yesterday who was standing next to me. And we had a long conversation about what's good, what's not, where they have to improve. And he said to me, this is the first time since I've been coming out here the last 5 years that I've seen an offensive line that can compete and win. And I said, you can stop talking. You just shut the hell up right there. I don't hear another word out of you. Because I, A, agree, and B, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm downright giddy because you can, it's just like I got done talking about the defense a second ago. If you can't line up and beat anybody across from you, you can't compete. You can't win. It all becomes make-believe. It's all just twisting and turning, and you're trying to be cute. You have to trick people all the time. And I hate that. I cannot. Football is not you can get away with it for a game. You can get away with it for a series or a half. We've seen teams pull upsets with gadgetry. It happens on occasion because obviously people aren't accustomed to seeing trick plays over and over and over again in which you're throwing the kitchen sink at them. But you can really only do that for a game, maybe a couple. After a while, you expose what you are. People see it for what it is, and they prepare for it. You've got to line up in football and beat the bejesus out of the guy across from you. And Florida State's offensive line simply could not do that. They couldn't do it. So it was all, you know this, Tom, it was all angles. It was all trickery. It was all, but I do think they have the requisite girth. Hey, now. I think they have real size now to go out there and bully some people. Not everybody, but I think they can do that 8 times this year. I think they can do that 9 times this year to the opposing defensive line. They probably can't do it to NC State's defensive line. They probably can't do that to Clemson's defensive line. I don't know if they can do that against Florida's, and we'll see about LSU. Probably not. But I think they can bully some other teams, a lot of other teams. I would say at least 8 times. And I don't, again, like that coach told me yesterday, I haven't said that in a long time, maybe 2013.
Did you find yourself cynical, though, because the pads aren't on yet? Like, it's one thing to look the size to be able to handle things. Turnitine has had good games in the SEC, and he's had some rotten games in the SEC and against FCS opponents. Dimitri Emmanuel is from Charlotte. They look the part. They've got the frame. But was there any cynicism in you, or did you say, no, I totally agree? Yeah, this group has got a chance, sight unseen with shoulder pads and going through full team drills.
Well, we've seen some of those guys play. So there's some guys that you like already that you've seen play. I mean, Dylan Gibbons can play. So sure. I don't need until they put on pads, I won't make any definitive statements about how good or bad they are, only that they're equipped to compete. So, you got to wait until they put the pads on and we see guys competing to really find out what a guy is. And we talk about elements of being a football player. It's size and strength, but also mental and physical toughness. So that doesn't really happen until they put the pads on. So I don't know. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic, but I haven't even been that, Tom. You know me. I'm pragmatic. I'm a realist. Last year when we were out there, I was unimpressed. I told you that from day one. I was like, this isn't good. And I think I actually did that. I did this. What is this? This is not good. Yeah. You just throw your hand, this here is ass. That's what I said as I walked to my car. I did not say that yesterday, not at all, and I got excited. They're not an elite team. Anybody tuning in and they don't get my tone, my tenor, you don't understand my sense of humor or whatever it might be, you don't get me, you're new to me. I'm not trying to tell you, I'm not selling you something. I don't do that on this show. I'm not telling you that they're going to go win the ACC. I'm not telling you they're going to go win the Atlantic. They're not likely to do that. I don't think they're that kind of talented yet. I'm just telling you that for the first time in a long time, standing there yesterday, looking at the segment groups, I found real reason for belief and hope that this can be a team that makes a difference, that they can be, Leonard Hamilton used to call it a team of substance, a team that mattered, right? You had to reckon with, in a sense, right? You had to account for. And I don't know that everybody on our schedule has looked at us in the last few years as a team that they really needed to account for. They just knew that if they went out and played a decent version of who they were, they'd win. That if they didn't turn it over or give up an abundance of yardage and special teams, and Lord knows we weren't going to do that, then, they would win the game. I don't know that that's the case this year. I think teams are going to find out you got to prepare for Florida State. You're going to have to play well, and you're going to have to execute because Florida State's talented enough. They're good enough to line up and beat you if you're not playing your best brand of football. And I haven't been able to say that in a long time. Let's continue this conversation on the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Patty Wilson.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're ready?
He's recording.
Why are you always saying your last name? It's Patty and Scott. Everybody knows Patty and Scott.
I don't know. This is Patty Wilson. Not this is. I am Patty Wilson.
What is the idea behind said promo?
It's for Patty's Playhouse. We're on Patty's Playhouse Saturdays at 11. Tune in. That's stupid. Just tune in. Saturdays at 11. Patty Wilson, Patty's Playhouse. House talk with a happy ending.
Each and every time.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
Hi, my name is Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
This is a court-ordered notice. If you were subject to the data breaches of the United States Office of Personnel Management and you experienced an out-of-pocket loss after the breaches, you could be eligible for a payment from a class action settlement. To see if you're eligible, go to opmdatabreach.com or call 1-855-917-3567. That's opmdatabreach.com or call 1-855-917-3567.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-8866. That's 800-857-8866.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory.
Can't hear me. Can he not hear me? What's going on here? Now he can hear me. Tom, you got any popsicles at the house?
Popsicles? Yeah, I think some raspberry popsicles.
Oh,
yeah.
That's impressive. Most people, I don't know if there's another family in the city of Tallahassee that has raspberry popsicles in their freezer.
They've been in there a minute, but they're there. Yeah.
Can't beat a good popsicle, Tom.
Oh, no. You
That's
can't.
true. You really
That
can't.
Or an Italian ice, sir. Yes,
And you can only say Italian icy. You can't say Italian icy.
the Italian stallion.
Because you would say Italian. But when you're talking about an icy, you have to say Italian. That's correct. Yeah, that's true. It's all wrong for us, baby. Now, I would tell you, back to our discussion of football, that maybe I'll get a popsicle on my way over to the practice fields today. Have to eat it quick. But what I would tell you is that all of what I just said, I believe to be true. But I also know that that's no guarantee that this team's going to do anything special. Because, again, they're not elite at quarterback and they're not elite at receiver. And that's a problem. You'd like to be really good at those two positions, and I'm not sure that you are. Might be okay, and okay can get you to 8. If they're below average at those two positions, coin flip on that 8. Despite all of what I just said about being equipped to compete, because they are equipped to compete in the trenches. And, buddy, that is a relief. That's reason to celebrate. It's why I opened with it. It's a reason to be excited. It's a reason to think that it's okay to latch on to some of that hopefulness that you feel in the offseason and have a reason to believe, right? Yeah, there's something to believe in.
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out, too, that you're talking about a coin flip for the 8 with this season's schedule. If you had this offensive line and this receiving core for last season's schedule, you're talking 8 or 9, right? I mean, that's because some people hear that they think that's not that much improvement, especially those that are new to the program. But this we are considering to be a more difficult schedule than last year because of veteran quarterback play, and you're starting out with LSU, well, in week 2.
Yeah, you're on the road against Miami. You obviously, when you talk about the schedule, you talk about veteran quarterbacks like you just alluded to. You have LSU. So it's not an easy schedule. You have an elite quarterback at Wake, at least within the ACC. He's kind of, you could argue he's a system guy. I know that we get into the great debates about what's a system guy. I think he is. I mean, I don't look at him as some elite pro quarterback, but he's really good in that system. And he lights it up. And I have no reason to believe he won't light it up again this year. They're well coached. Leary is the truth at NC State. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. What do you have, 30 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions last year? SOB. I mean, he's good. Not spectacular. Again, not a guy that you're going to be like, oh, look at that guy. He's going to be elite on Sundays. I don't know about all that. Really good college football player, though. He's what they thought they were getting at North Carolina. but that guy didn't turn out to be that. He turned out to be up and down. I think Leary is a better version of that, right? So you play him. Florida's got talent. They'll be probably an average football team this year, but they do have a physical presence on both lines of scrimmage and a quarterback that's really physical. So you worry about that game. You're always going to worry about Clemson. They've got more talent than we do. So you have a lot of potential pitfalls that if you're average at quarterback and you're average at wide receiver, you're going to have a problem. And I just, to me, again, I don't see this receiving core being a big difference maker. I think it's really a problem. I get angry about it because it's like I said at the outset, Florida State should never be in a prolonged state of ass. That should not be who this program is. They shouldn't be bad for long stretches at a time. You should also not be in a place where you don't have a crop of really talented receivers on your hands year in and year out. It's the state of Florida, for Christ's sake. You ought to have a better receiving core than we have. And that's going to bother me because I'm watching everything else improve. I'm seeing everything else get better and better and better. And if I'm looking out there on Saturdays and the thing holding us back is we can't win one-on-one matchups and it's being schemed open and you got an offensive line protecting the quarterback and there's nobody getting open, that's going to really infuriate all of us. But that's one thing as opposed to five things. That's one element of the team that I think has to take a big step forward as opposed to, 3 and 4, like we've been talking about. I mean, last year, you and I have this discussion. Every time we got into one discussion, we'd have to jump into another because it would occur to us that this other thing isn't happening in the way that it should. I don't believe that's the way conversations on this show are going to go this year.
Well, that's a good sign because anytime we would talk about Jordan Travis' shortcomings, I would bring up you don't have an offensive line that can pass pro. They don't consistently run block, especially straight ahead. You don't have receivers that can win one-on-one matchups. And Ja'Shawn Corbin's a nice player, and so is Trayshawn Ward. But, I mean, what is that? Like a B- or a B-level running back core for Power 5 or ACC?
Yeah.
And that's your offense. Good luck, and they found a way in certain games to score in the high 20s or the 30s, and they found a way to generate explosive plays. But I would say, though, it's worth parsing here. The receiving core is better, right? I mean, it's not like it's the same. Micah Pittman automatically makes you better, and Winston Wright, if he's healthy by, I don't know, because he was out there yesterday, but if he's healthy by the middle of October, that means you're going to get 6 games of significantly better wide receiver play. Don't you think that maybe some of the other guys like a Johnny Wilson or Malik McClain or Pokey Wilson might help you as a 2 or a 3 and make it at least significantly better than last year, if not on the level of the offensive line improvement, somewhere better than it was in 2020 or 2021, excuse me?
It'll be better than it was in 2021. It's not going to be good. That receiving core is not going to be good. Micah Pittman's going to be good. He's a star. He was good again yesterday. I don't think I've ever attended a practice where he wasn't good. I mean that. Think about that. Think about that for a second. I've never gone to a practice since he's arrived in which he didn't play well. Good on you, young man. That kid hit the ground running with something to prove and is having none of it. He fights for everything. It's fun to watch. I'm a huge fan. He's got an outsized personality, probably annoying to be around. But I don't care. I'm not hanging out with him. He can play. Did
Pokey Wilson look like a different
day
to you? Mike was raving about him on Tuesday. Did you see what Norvell was talking about?
Yeah, he's bigger. Mm-hmm. He is. He actually had a good day yesterday. So I think he'll play well. He doesn't have to be the guy, but he's experienced. He's seasoned. He's been in big moments. I think he'll play well. I think Pittman will play well. I don't know about anybody else. We'll see. Maybe, because I'll tell you what, that's this camp for me. Obviously, I'm watching the competition, the position battles. I want to see who emerges as the starting 5 on the offensive line. There's a lot of things you're going to be looking at. I don't mean to say that I'm going to be singular, but I really am going to be watching very, very closely, intently, every day I'm out there to see, does somebody else emerge in this receiving core? Maybe Malik McClain does. I did, one day yesterday, whatever. We'll see. He's not a burner. There's nobody that's taking the lid off here. You don't have anybody that is just going to take the lid off that a safety has to shade and that you're worried about.
Yeah, that's polished, right? Because Deuce Spann can, but I mean,
Yeah, but he can't run routes.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to run a route. So now they're going to find a way to use him, by the way, because, by the way, speaking of which, I shouldn't say by the way over and over again. To look at him, he's an NFL receiver. I mean, look at that guy. Holy moly. Talk about guys that get off the bus and you go, there it is. That guy. When our receiving core gets off the bus, even if he doesn't play a lick, he ought to lead the way because he looks like a receiver in the National Football League. If the Sooner, and by the way, they're riding him. That's the third time. I won't say by the way again today. They are riding him. It is interesting to look at. I take notice of these things. I tell my kids this all the time when they play sports, and I told them when they first started playing sports, and you guys all know this because you're sports fans. You're in trouble when he's not yelling at you. You don't have anything to offer when he's not yelling at you. And he knows it. When he's screaming at you, when he's constantly on you, he got a little something to you. And he wants to bring it out. And they were all over Deuce Spann yesterday. I thought that was intriguing. They didn't do that in the spring, Tom. They did it yesterday. Norvell on top of him after every route, screaming at him, get low, get low. And he would yell at him about rounding his route instead of breaking it off. He was all over him about the details. And I think that's a good sign because obviously they see what I see, which is that kid there, he's got tools. He's got tools. He's got to learn how to play the position.
Can I ask one question I didn't get to yesterday on the live show about the offensive line? Darius Washington, to me, when I saw the practice video, he looked trimmed down a little bit. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but he's going to be kind of a swing man, to use I guess, what would that be? A basketball analogy. He's going to be somebody who you could plug and play if there's an injury. Did he look like he was in better shape? Because he's still in the conversation for one of those guard spots until somebody else proves it.
I didn't notice him yesterday.
Okay.
I'd be fibbing if I told you that he stood out in any way, good or bad. I didn't notice him.
Well, there's a lot of new dudes to look at, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm excited about those guys. It's good to have some meat on the bone here to be able to go out there and talk about this team in a different light. This is all, in my mind, a different conversation. We're talking to people. I feel the need, just because we switch stations and we have a lot of new listeners to the Jeff Cameron Show. You might not know, again, lingoism and things like that. I have a standard for what I think Florida State should be. And I reference everything to that. So you have to know when I say a guy's not any good, it's not relative to the population. Like a guy might be a top 5% athletically compared to the population. And you'll hear me say, hey, he ain't any good. That guy's not any good. Relative to the standards of Florida State excellence. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
7 attorney generals, including Ashley Moody of Florida, secured $8 million Tuesday after a multi-state action responding to a massive Wawa data breach. The 2019 breach compromised potentially up to 34 million payment cards used at Wawa stores. Hackers were able to access the company's computer network and put malware on registers, which allowed them to get sensitive payment data from April 18th to December 12th of 2019. This affected stores in 6 states, Florida, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, as well as Washington, D.C. Florida will receive more than $1.1 million. With less than a month to go until classes start, the search for housing is getting more desperate for hundreds of FAMU students and parents. Several parents who attended an off-campus housing fair Wednesday at the Epperson Student Union said they left underwhelmed and frustrated by lack of answers. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly cloudy skies expected this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 91. Winds out of the southwest 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 75. Partly cloudy skies. Chance for scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 92. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 90.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
There's a TikTok that's going viral because of a butter softening method. They are putting the Vermont Creamery butter in the waistband of her pants. Give it 5 minutes. You can go and measure out your ingredients, and then your butter is ready to go. You cannot do this in Florida.
No.
Because your pants will be full of butter in 2 minutes. Somebody try it. Post on TikTok.
Unless it says juicy across the back.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by
way of positive reports for tomorrow's show. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe it goes south. Maybe I feel more negative, but nothing's going to change about the status of bodies on this offensive line and what's possible. I think those guys look, first of all, you have the best coach on the staff coaching that group. And that's a guy that gets a lot out of kids, even average players. And now he's been given a few guys that can play a little bit. And Armella walked on campus looking the part. Yesterday, walked out to practice, and I thought, oh, there you go. There you go. That's the kind of guy. Again, we talk a lot about, do you have the body type? You're going to get tired of hearing that. But do you have, really, that's when we're talking about offensive linemen, we're talking about, is there enough ass? You got enough ass in the trunk there? You got a little something to you? I remember Jimbo Fisher used to talk about that. We would all raise an eyebrow and crack up laughing. Kid's got a lot of ass. He's got a big old ass. And I remember thinking, the first time he said that, I was like, that's funny, but I hear you. I know what you're talking about. You need your offensive lineman, your defensive lineman to have a lot of ass. And not all of our guys have. That's not good, man. That's a Cosmo model. We got a problem. We need somebody who's got a little thickness to him. And Armella walked on campus yesterday and walked into practice yesterday, and I thought, yes, sir. Yep, there you go. That's exciting. And then some of the guys, you brought it up. Tom, I know you were infatuated with Dimitri Emmanuel. Woo! You could have looked at that picture 50, 60 times, right? You probably went to bed last night. Let me get one more look at Dimitri Emmanuel before I crash here tonight. This is sweet dreams.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did, or not. But I couldn't believe the width of the man. He's
a big boy.
He's as wide as he is tall. I'll pull up a picture of him. I just had Armella up on the feed. But this is another giant. I was hoping we'd see somebody that resembled Caden Lyles when they stepped onto the practice fields, because Caden made us all stop in our tracks. And especially that was the rough thing about Maurice Smith in spring camp when he's at 270. You're like, that's the difference. That's 50 pounds. I could tell all of 50 pounds difference there. There he is, Dimitri Emmanuel. That is a large human being. That is something to work with. And it looks like he's got long enough of a wingspan that it makes sense that he has a background as a tackle as well. Yeah, that's the clay that you want to work with if you're bringing offensive linemen out of the transfer portal, no doubt.
They do a really good job in the portal. They've had to. It is a coping mechanism until they can raise the floor, right? Until they can get the level of talent here where they want it to be with their younger players. But speaking of which, and I got to credit you because you brought it up in the spring, and I dismissed you because I just didn't believe in a lot of the bodies over there prior. But you want to talk about a guy that looks good coming into camp that he caught my eye, Tom. He caught my eye just taking a look at that group. Estes. You brought him up when we were in spring one day. We were coming off the field, and you said, Estes has got a little something to him. And I was like, yeah. I thought you were engaging in the thing that I do, where you get a latch on to something and give yourself false hope, right?
Right, like I'm some sort of contortionist from Cirque du Soleil that
Yeah.
really freaks people out. No, I mean, they gave him some important reps in spring. We're far enough out of camp now that I can say that. He was rotating in. They're cross-training. Dylan Gibbons was resting. So he'd get time with the 2s and the 1s because they didn't have a whole lot of bodies. And they said, all right, see what you can do. And every once in a while, he would hold his own, unlike anybody else who got those types of reps. I thought, all right, well, that might be something to work with in a year or two. I wasn't thinking that he's going to be the starting right guard this season. But Mike was also talking about him in a positive manner before I saw that. So I myself was wondering, what do you see in 77? And then I saw a little bit of it in spring. Glad to hear that he looks the part again in fall.
He looks bigger, stronger. He looks more confident. He's got something to him, too. When I talk about that nastiness, that edge, that little what for, when he gets in the drills, he's got a little something to him. There's an edge to the way he plays. So I'm really excited about that. I did not expect that. That was the overwhelming good news from yesterday, guys. If you can't tell, I think all of us, whether it was the write-up on warchant.com, whether it's, Corey and I joining Tom yesterday, whether it's Ira and I in the post-practice stand-up that we did yesterday, all of that you can find on Warchant TV and warchant.com. Whatever it might have been, it was cool to be out there and see this group, this offensive line, with all of those bodies, all of that size, some of the younger kids taking a step forward, looking like they're gonna be able to contribute something while they're here, as opposed to just being bodies that you use for reps because you have to have a certain number of guys out there. No, these look like guys. I get it now why, again, that Mike Norvell was so excited at the luncheon, why he was so excited at ACC kickoff, to talk offensive line. The second the subject comes up, you can see there's he kind of gets excited because he hasn't had it. He hasn't had a chance. And really that opens the doors for everything else. It's another reason why they better be better at quarterback and receiver, because they do have a group now that I think you can trust. We'll see how quickly that happens. There are question marks. I don't think there's any doubt about this. There's a lot of pressure on Jordan Travis. Because again, obviously last year when he didn't play, we had no chance. And I know that obviously we also don't want to have to see Tate Rodemaker. I do think he's gotten better, but I don't know that we could trust him to go win games for us. Jordan's got to get better throwing the football consistently. He's got to be a better thrower of the football. And I'm talking about between the hashes. He can throw outside the numbers just fine. He actually, that's the ball that he throws well. I want to see him down the seam, on time, in rhythm, throwing the football. So let's get to that. Somebody asked on the chat here, how did Briggs look? He looked great. That's a hoss. He's going to be good for us this year. He's a real good football player. If you're watching in the chat, there's a picture of him there right now. He stood out to me yesterday. I loved him last year. He was well on his way to having a big season for us when Louisville cheap shot him. And, I've talked about this before. I wouldn't hold back on Louisville. I'd hurt some folks in that game.
I think they're well aware that the staff and players are well aware of if there's a chance to send a message, that they're going to send a message, I think.
Oh, I'd send it. I'd send it over and over again. They'd be like, damn it, we don't want to do that to Florida State ever again. Good God. But anyhow, that's I get sidetracked because I get angry. I hate cheap shots like that. And football's a rough game, nasty things. They're borderline hits. That wasn't borderline. That was intentional. It was purposeful. They were trying to injure him, and they did. And that just no bothers me. So relative to where we want to be as a let's say a championship contender, Florida State's not close to where we want to be to finish in the top 3 of the Atlantic. To get to 8 wins, they took a big step from last year to this year. So, how you look at Florida State depends a lot on what your perspective is and what you think they should be and how soon you think they should be that. This is the debate amongst the fan base is, what's reasonable to expect given that Mike Norvell at the time of his hiring was your 3rd coach in 4 years.
One person specifically that we've been talking about a lot, and I think he was brought up in passing last night on the show, Maurice Smith. Did you see growth? As in, is he heavier?
I'm going to look at him closer today. I got caught up. You're trying to get everything in yesterday, and I saw him yesterday, but I didn't really study to see if I could notice that he's appreciably bigger.
Because that has implications for the guard battle, if he is.
I will look at it today to see if I can get a feel for, noticeable growth from him, right? I mean, he is said to have put on the weight that he needed to do, that he needed to put on. We'll see. Hopefully he just keeps getting bigger. Tell you what, every one of those guys, whatever they're listed at today, a week from now, they won't be that. It is blazingly hot out there, and so it will be fascinating to watch how these guys handle it. That's football. It's football in Florida. It's that's where we're at. But that was a tough day. I'll say this because he came back in. I got to give him credit. Deloach projectile vomited on the sidelines yesterday a good 4 times. I mean, it was excessive. They ran and got a garbage can for him. I mean, my man was violent. And I was standing about 5 feet away. I was, oh, hey. Woo.
Did you get a whiff of it?
No.
Good.
And it was the reason he puked was he was working his ass off. I got to give him credit. I mean, he came off the field after a rep and he had been out there for a while. And so when he came off the field, he kind of started jogging, but they weren't stopping. It was during 11-on-11 and they weren't stopping. And at first, nobody knew why he was jogging off, and I could hear Norvell basically asking him, "The hell you doing, man? Where are you going?" And then he knew. The answer was given emphatically, and so I cracked up because at first I was like, "Oh no, man! You see people puke all the time in football practice." But that was the first of the year. We have our first guy. It was Kalen Deloach, and it was violent. But to his credit, after he finished puking, took his helmet off, kind of sat there looking down at the ground. You know that look that we've all had. So it's come to this. Here I am. Useless. Puking my guts out in front of everybody. But a couple of trainers came over, guzzled some water. He got his ass back in there.
It's the old that's the puke and rally, sir. I've seen a puke and rally in my day once or twice.
Yeah, when you're 21 and fighting to stay at the bar. But football practice is a different story, man. That is that's a toughie.
It's a lonely feeling when you're on the side of anything, puking like that, because you're making noises that don't even make sense to you. You're like,
But he rallied. He got back out there to his credit, and he played well. He once he gathered himself and guzzled some water and got the taste out of his mouth, he was like, "Here we go. All right." He got back out there. He was good.
Was that typically a thing that you went through in high school practice? Were you a puker? Because there are guys. There are just guys who are.
No, I didn't. I never puked at a practice. That never happened. I came close once because I had a coach, Coach Rayford, who dipped excessively. He always had a dip in his mouth. And so this is a different era, ladies and gentlemen. I walked over to him one day and said, "Can I have a dip?" and I had never had one, and he gave me one. How about that? What kind of high school coach hands a 16, 15-year-old kid a dip? But he did. And I put it in, and I started to participate in practice, and we were tackling, and I had a dip in. And so I think I swallowed a little bit of the dip, and then I was in trouble. I got up and I went, ooh, this is not good. Things started spinning. I took that dip out. I raced over to the water cooler. I kept it together. So my streak was intact. Never puked at a practice.
And then you were hooked on dip for how many years?
20-something.
Oh.
I don't blame him.
You should.
I probably should. I have an addictive personality. I like drugs. And by drugs, I mean nicotine, alcohol, things like that. I take to them, Tom. I take to them. That's why you got to be very careful what you give me. I take to it. But anyhow, I'm not on anything now. I've been good to go. But yeah, I was dipped for 20-something years. Golly. It's hard to believe. I haven't had a dip in 13 years, Tom.
Hey, good for you.
Yeah.
The ginger dip. I remember when you had the ginger dip.
Yeah, it got me through. Hour number 2, forthcoming.
Founder of the Medicare Help Desk. I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk radio show. Tune in every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. where I provide clear answers to all your questions about Medicare.
For many in the workforce, their goal is to climb the company ladder. Often the climb requires a move to another city, and that's especially true in our industry. I'm Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. If you rise the ranks of our competitors, there's a good chance moving up means moving away. Why? Because they're not local companies. They're from places like Orlando, Atlanta, Salt Lake City, and even Europe. That's certainly not the case with our employees. We're a company that was founded in the Big Bend and remains locally owned. When Paul's Termite and Pest Control employees advance, they remain in the Tallahassee area. Don't trust the safety of your family and pets from disease-carrying pests or the structure of your biggest investment from termites to people who may be here today and gone tomorrow. Trust Paul's Termite and Pest Control, a company that has serviced thousands of our neighbors right here for over 50 years. Being local really does matter in our industry because local problems require local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control are the Big Bend's local experts for the elimination of termites or any other pest, and a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop is a special place. It's Tallahassee's only traditional gentleman's cigar lounge with a massive collection of hard-to-find boutique cigar brands, a staff with over 100 years of combined cigar knowledge and experience, the best prices in town with full box discounts, a great selection of beer and wine, indoor and outdoor seating, private lockers, and best of all, Jerry's is a local family-owned business. Visit us on Sherrill Road or the new lounge on Kerry Forest Parkway, the only cigar lounge for the true gentleman.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. Wanted to let you guys know chiropractic doesn't just get rid of back pain, neck pain, and headaches. It could help with sleep. It could help with digestion. Maybe you have pain down your arm. But chiropractic is one of the safest, most natural, most effective ways to get to the root cause of your problem. So if you're a loved one or having a problem, even if you think we might not be able to help, make a new patient appointment today at FinnChiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. Because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. The U.S. economy shrank for a second consecutive quarter, sharply raising fears that we're already in or heading for a recession. Bob Agnew reports.
The U.S. economy shrank from April through June, contracting at a 0.9% annual pace. That decline in the gross domestic product followed a 1.6% annual drop in the first quarter. Consecutive quarters of falling GDP constitute the traditional definition of an economy in recession. Though that definition is being challenged by the Biden White House, the report adds up to bad news for Americans facing punishing inflation and higher borrowing costs. Bob Agnew reporting.
Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia shocked Congress by agreeing to a surprise deal on health, energy, and taxes. He has repeatedly rejected President Biden's tax and spend plans, but signed off on a $739 billion plan. Republicans are critical of the deal, which would raise taxes on the wealthy and corporations. It's shaping up to be another hot one in the Pacific Northwest. Correspondent Rita Foley tells us how hot.
The temperature in Bend, Oregon could reach 104 this week, and it's expected to stay at or over 100 through Sunday. 175 miles to the north, Portland, Oregon could hit 101 on Saturday. 911 calls there from those wrestling with the heat have tripled in recent days. An internal medicine expert says in regions like the Pacific Northwest, people are not as used to the heat and are more susceptible to it.
A man accused of raping and impregnating a 9-year-old Ohio girl who traveled to Indiana for an abortion has been ordered held without bond. The judge cited overwhelming evidence that he is living in the U.S. illegally. More at townhall.com.
If you were lied to when buying a timeshare and worn out, you need my help. Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started the timeshare cancellation industry by exposing the ugly truth about timeshare and giving folks the straight facts. I've been fighting the timeshare giants ever since, so no one knows this industry better than me and my team. Today, we have 383 employees and have saved our clients an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Imagine putting those timeshare dollars back in your pocket. If you were told at a timeshare presentation that this was available today and today only, that timeshare was a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, call my office now. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242.
Now go call Seminole Glass. They'll get on the road and get it done fast.
Your local family-owned glass company, serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. At Seminole Auto Glass, we care about your safety. Insurance will send you wherever it benefits them, not the quality of service. There's a difference in auto glass companies. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass.
They handle any kind of broken glass, and you know who they are.
Better call Seminole.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So now that we've returned in full where the YouTubers can hear me, I want to make it clear. I'm not on drugs. Just that I know I'm inclined to like them. I think people think I'm a literalist at all times. That was me in college. That picture right there. That was me in college. On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. You never get left out of things when you're the life of the party. Everybody wants you around. At some point, you're like, man, I don't know. This isn't good. On Twitter, at Jay Cameron Show. Okay, here we go. Let's move it along. I'm not going to worry about, I saw in the chat during the break, people were worried about recruiting. I'm not getting into that. We'll see what happens. Got to win games, man. Got to win games. Got to hope that that is the final element is my getting this program to where the elite level recruits begin to take notice again. It's not going to happen until you win. You can only win guys over. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well done, Sean B. Well done. So if you can get to 8 wins, 9 wins, somewhere in there, then you can, obviously you can change the way you're perceived and you have a shot at those upper level guys, not just here and there. Right now it's just here and there. Right now it's winning over a few guys who are willing to take a leap of faith. But I don't think you can en masse expect elite classes until you win. So every day we go out there to practice, every day that we're watching closely and getting excited about segment groups and improvements in various areas, it's all to that end. Of course, always that is true of any football program. At the end of the day, it's a bottom line deal. You got to win games. I think they'll win some games this year. I think they'll finish above 500 this year. It's a question of how far above 500 do they finish and how do they look doing it? And so, every day we're out there, that competition will serve to that end, and we'll talk a lot about that. I wish I could be in 2 places at one time because I'll tell you, I would surely love to look at LSU's practices. I'd like to see what that team is going to be. I just don't know what to expect of them with so many transfers and a new staff and how quickly they can implement all that they're trying to do with any staff, no matter how good the coach is. You go back to Nick Saban taking over at Alabama and losing to Louisiana Monroe. So you come in, you can be a great coach, but it takes a while for those kids to respond and to get acclimated. And I'm really happy that we're playing them early in the season. I would not want to play that group late in the year. I think they'll be a much better team late in the season. Take that for what it's worth. If you're a fellow gambler, take a good long look at that team after week 4, after week 5, because I think things begin to change there. But it's kind of interesting to think about what they can be or not be in week 1 for them. Do you place value? I would ask this, Tom. Do you place, if so, how much value do you place in the Duquesne game? Because I hate that game. I'm for having a game before LSU. That's great. That's fine. I just would have rather had it be against somebody with a pulse, not an elite team, not a team that truly, if you're playing well and you coach them up well, that you could lose to, but a team that you got to play hard. This is not that. Duquesne is not that. You might be better off having an intense scrimmage with your own guys than you would be playing that game.
I'd say that I place significance in it for any butterflies for first-time Noles, that they can get through that a little bit. They're going to be much higher for the LSU game, but you kind of, if you're a freshman or a transfer that's contributing, then you're going to go through those motions. You're going to feel that, embrace it, and then you'll be better prepared for LSU. But then also, I like it better for the reserves and the depth than I like it for the starters.
Yeah.
Because those guys are going to get more work together with live reps. Like, so, for example, if Tate, we talked about this a few weeks ago, if Tate Rodemaker can get time with the ones in the Duquesne game, that might prove beneficial 3 or 4 weeks down the line in case he needs to come in for a drive in a game where it's in touch and it's a winnable or a losable moment. and here comes Tate because Jordan is mending a wound under the tent. Things like that. But for the starters, I mean, for example, Fabian Love and Robert Cooper, I'm worried about them in that game. I'm not happy that they're playing that game. I'd get them off the field as soon as I possibly could. Players that you know are absolute studs, make it a preseason game. Get them a few drives, make sure the game is out of touch, and you can see the way it's being played in the trenches, and then get those guys off the field and get some of the younger guys more experience. So that's where I like it, especially with the 4-game rule for true freshmen and guys that you want to preserve their red shirt. Here's a great opportunity to use one of those 4 and to make them more capable for stepping in for you in case of emergency down the line.
The reps that Tate Rodemaker gets in that game will be fun to watch. I want that kid needs time under the lights, needs the action, needs to play in something other than a practice. It's got to happen. By the way, again, I know immediately anytime I bring up Duquesne and I talk about the competition that they aren't, people want to bring up Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State would beat Duquesne by 50. It's not the same thing, guys.
We played UMass after Jacksonville State. Does nobody remember that game?
Right.
That's what this is going to resemble. It's not like there wasn't another game after the Jacksonville State debacle and ridiculous moment, worst moment in the history of the program, that we didn't have an opponent like Duquesne in UMass, that it was a no contest by the middle of the second quarter, probably sooner than that. So that's what this is more going to resemble.
Yeah, when you take a look at Duquesne, you just got to understand they don't even have the same number of scholarships. It's just not the same. I mean, bless those kids' hearts, right? That's what this game is. It's a bless those kids' hearts kind of game. And I mean that sincerely, because that, those guys, there's a level of football for everybody. They're in a different weight class.
And the good news is about Tate Rodemaker is, when he comes in the Duquesne game, it's not going to be in a 2-point conversion scenario where he can throw an interception and everybody panic about it, like the spring game where everybody's going, what the hell is this? It'll be a real drive. He'll be live in case somebody turns somebody else loose. But those reps are critical. And he's had a good spring. And I hope he continues to have a good fall. I don't know how he looked yesterday, if you saw some of those throws that we saw in spring where Tate would headline the practice. In terms of, if you look at the best throws of the day, top 5, Tate would have 2 or 3 of them most every day. But it would be a good step, a natural step for him in case of emergency against LSU. I mean, imagine if it's late in the third quarter. Jordan has gone down. He'll come back, but he's out for a drive because he's got a laceration or something, whatever it is. And Tate comes out on the field, and he had a good week the week before against Duquesne. You'd feel better in that situation than if you didn't have the Duquesne game at all.
Duquesne, folks, takes on the likes of Thomas More, Stone Hill, Merrimack, LIU, Central Connecticut State, Sacred Heart, St. Francis, and Wagner. That's their schedule. Boy, you talk about a kick in the cojones to start the year. They're like, all right, what do you think about the Sacred Heart game? I don't know. I like that one. The Wagner game is going to be tough late in the year. What about the Florida State game? Oh, puke in my mouth. Like, that's the Duquesne guy. That's the diehard Duquesne guy. That LIU game is always scary. We never play well there.
Sounds like what my CCC played in high school. It sounds like their football schedule.
Yeah. I went to Rooney Field, Tom, at Duquesne when I was in Pittsburgh last.
Did you run down the field?
I did. It's a tradition. I did. Yeah. I truly did. I sprinted down the field just like I did. So I wanted to be able to say that I did it.
So when we move to a new conference, and when we get to a new conference the next 2 to 3 years, hopefully, are you going to go to those novel fields that we haven't been to before and sneak in, maybe hop the fence and sprint down the field and take a video of it?
Always. In fact, that'll be something we'll post on Warchant. My old ass running down the new fields. It's always exciting for me. It's the dawn of, every year. I've probably told this on the air many times. I don't remember. I have a tradition for our first home game every year. Going to the press box, I always take the steps and I run up them, all 9 floors, to get to the press box. And I started doing that 23 years ago. I was so excited about my new job and about my career in sports talk and covering Florida State that when I got my first press pass for that season in 1998, I remember going to the stadium with the pass thinking, well, this is cool as hell. I have a press pass. I'm going into that press box. And I went into the stadium, and I saw the long line. You're trying not to stand out like a sore thumb. I saw all the other members of the press, and I was like, oh, well, they don't know me. And I knew them, right? I knew who all those guys were. And they were all waiting to get on the elevator. And I saw that you could take the steps. And I was not aware. I guess it had been a long time, but I was also in my 20s. So I was just kind of like, oh, I'll just run up these steps. These old fat asses can't do it, but I'll do it. And so I walked in there and I ran up the steps, and it sucked even in my 20s. This is garbage.
Around the 4th floor is when it kicks in.
You're like, damn it, man, this is not cool. But I was determined. So I do these physical challenges with myself where if I start something, I have to do it. So then I ran all the way up. And so I got to the top. So then the next year, first home game, I did it again. And then I was like, well, this is it. Now I got to do it. So I always got to do it. And I do it every year. But I have to tell you, over the years, it's gotten harder, and I loathe it. Driving to the stadium for the first game, I'm all at once excited and pissed because I've dedicated my life to running up those steps for game one. And I'm going to be, 10 years from now, I'm going to be running up those steps, 60 years old, going, holy Jesus, trying to run up 9 flights of steps. But it's a good test.
Sadly, Cameron, 68, passed away
on the 5th floor. Where's Jeff?
The good news was there was an over-under set at a local Tallahassee sports book, and it was the 5th floor. So he bet on himself on the over at $5,000 for a parting gift for his family.
Yeah,
perfect, Jeff.
That's it. Right. Yeah, I will. But yeah, so I look forward to the first home game again this year. You can join me, Tom, if you want to run the steps, buddy.
I have the pregame, in-game, and postgame. Now I could do a warm-up with you during the week. I'm not above going there after a Thursday walkthrough or something.
I'm not going to do it twice.
Well, now you got to film that, though. That's got to be a YouTube video. I would say it'd be a short, but it's going to take longer than a minute, so it won't qualify as a YouTube short.
All right. I'll film all 9 flights. You're going to hear it. It's going to get ugly.
You should get your take, too. Your take on the team for the season. Go segment group by segment group as you're running up the steps. Yeah.
All right. Maybe this is the year I do. Oh, buddy, I don't want to do that. Oh, it's going to be an ugly look. 9 flights just going. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Our partner, ISF Inc., is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF. Your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Hearth and Patio wants you to know now is the time to start thinking about your fireplaces. Yes, we know that temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 90s for the next couple of months, but now is the time to start thinking about upgrading those fireplaces. Not going to be using them? Get those fireplaces upgraded now. They can repair all makes and models of fireplaces. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
My
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomas.
That they sponsored the Jeff Cameron Show. They jumped on board with us when we made the move, and they're really good at what they do. I should note that if you work in state government, there are real challenges inherent in government operations. ISF can help you out with those visions of greatness that you have, and they have served as a strategy firm for 40 years, located right here in Tallahassee, but they work across the country. They have over 80 unique clients. They've served over 1,500 projects across the country. The expertise in developing strategies. They do this, experts in government processes. Their expertise helps solve for the future, and that's what this segment is called. Process and technology, all that, decades they've worked with state agencies just like yours, if you're out there listening to this, taking on those projects. And it's an ever-changing landscape in technology and business processes. They do that, from direct consulting services and oversight, independent verification, validation, all the things that you need. Their clients rely on them, and they have for over 40 years, and they solve for the future. We're going to solve for the future this weekend. On Sunday, we got a little Midnight Madness, Tommy. A little Midnight Madness going on will be fun for all of us on Warchant's staff. Live show only on Warchant TV. The stroke of midnight on Monday, August the 1st. So Midnight Madness, we're calling it. Whose bright idea was this, Tom? Who decided that we should be up at midnight on a Sunday?
I believe everybody decided this together.
I disagree with it.
Yeah.
I don't think my vote was weighed.
How long ago would this have been right in your wheelhouse to be a member of the Midnight Madness crew? 5 years? 6 years? Where it was routinely okay to be up at midnight doing a show?
Yeah, it's been a minute. I don't remember the last time I was excited about being up at midnight on a Sunday. But hey, for this reason, this is a good reason.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Special show. Going to be a good one.
We have special guests. This is solving for the future. We're solving for our future. This is who are the special guests? I mean, we can't tell everybody, I guess, who the special guests are.
Now, me and you, we're very special guests always, even though we're staff members. I think everybody feels special when we join the program. So that'll be
We're
good.
the only guests. We got roped into this. It's just you and me.
Now that would be funny if it's the whole staff of a show and then it's just you and me that shows
We're
up.
like looking around. Where the hell is everybody?
And
I would call bitches. I would be on the phone that minute, just letting it ring. Because I know people, they put you do this, put your phone on vibrate, and then you have whatever it's called with the little message down at the bottom.
Notifications
turned off or whatever. Yeah, but you can hear it buzzing.
No, you really can't unless somebody. I think you have to call multiple times and it breaks through. I think that's the rule.
It'll say at the bottom, send anyway. I always hit that. Send anyway.
Well, if you do that, that will push
it
through.
Does. It says at the bottom. I do it just to try to agitate you because it'll say that Tom has his notification silenced, and I'm like, send anyway. Send it. He needs to know.
It's 10 p.m. is the cutoff for me, but not on Sunday. Not on Sunday.
So the celebration is the start of football, padded football practice, right? That's it. 2 a.m. this morning. I'm sending to Tom. Hey, send anyhow. No, but that's the padded practices. Probably the most excited I've been in 5 years. I think that's true.
That should be Sunday as well. I would think three acclimation days, I believe, is still the rule. So they go today, tomorrow, break Saturday for the recruiting event, and then Sunday they return to practice.
The part that Norvell, well, okay, so Corey brought this up yesterday when he joined you just after I joined you, which is, again, I thought this was interesting. They go straight to install. They went straight to install yesterday. That is correct. The practices already are very, very interesting. We're not doing that thing where you got to build up to it. They got after it right away. So to your point, it was very encouraging to see some of the young players not miss a beat. Guys that have only been here for a spring, you really realize the head start that Florida State had. He brought it up during the luncheon address in which he said that 90% of the players on the team were there in the spring. You really do see the practical application of that, how quickly they are able to get out there and get lined up and know what they're doing. A lot of things that are an advantage to this upcoming season for Florida State, and those bodies, that depth of which I speak, and the ability to have had so many guys there in the spring, they really should be better off. Again, this is not an elite team. Kayvon Gergelson did not stand out yesterday. I did not get a good look at Gergelson. So I'll look for Gergelson today. Anybody else you want me to look at? I'll take a good look at anybody else that you want me to. I don't know that. I gotta look at Maurice Smith. I did not mention him yesterday. I think a lot of people want to know that. By the way, I did it. That's the fourth time. I thought I had ridded myself of the verbal crutch. By the way, but I fell back on it. The coach that I referenced that I was talking to yesterday, a college coach, he was excited about the new offensive lineman as well. And Tom, I don't know why, but I had such low expectations perhaps for the Turnantine kid, but I was wowed by him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was wowed by it. He's more athletic than I thought he would be, and he's huge. There's something else that was going on there in regards to why he didn't perform consistently well, because it's not the physical tools. He's got those. I'm not telling you he's a first round draft pick or anything like that, but I thought that guy, to watch him yesterday, he really looked like he was working really hard, that he was competing, and he got in the rotation and he looked the part right off the bat. So you may have something with him too. I think we expected Dimitri Emmanuel, because he's played so much football and graded out well for the level of football that he's played. We kind of thought he would come in and look good, right? And we saw some of the other guys that we brought in the spring. So we knew kind of what they were. We're still watching Caden Lyles and guys like that to see if they're healthier to start fall camp. But I didn't have much in the way of expectations for that kid, Jaslon, and he impressed me yesterday. So that's good news. It's another guy competing.
Yeah, well, that can change the nature of the battle at tackle. The competition there, because for preseason, before he was a transfer, you thought it was going to be Robert Scott, then Bless Harris, Darius Washington, and who else? Really? I mean, could Emmanuel flex out and play right tackle? But if this kid looks as you described, and then he continues that in pads, you got yourself a real battle on your hands.
I think the competition will come down to the final week. I really, it depends on the timeline the coaches want to set for having their starters get the bulk of the reps for the game. I guess you have a little extra time because that Duquesne game, well, you never want to make the mistake that you made a year ago where you didn't take an opponent serious. And that it sends the wrong message to your players anyhow. But, let's be honest. Again, I've talked about what that game is. You do have, I guess, a little bit of a luxury in terms of letting those competitions play out a little bit longer, Tom. I think the offensive line competition will play out quite a bit because that's going to be hotly contested at the tackle position, the one tackle position. And then we got to figure out, obviously, who's going to be the center.
Yeah, my question is this a type of battle that would bleed into the season as well because of good reasons? Like, the job is not done. It is not won. The Duquesne game, you can still put some good film out there to determine your fate for LSU. And subsequent games, you've got enough options that if somebody steps off the gas in a week of practice, they're not going to play. What's that like? Haven't seen that ever covering this team. Not even in 2013, it wasn't like that.
I remember you and I talking about the LSU national championship team, the Joe Burrow team, and going into the season, I remember there was a quote from some of the defensive players where they talked about just how nasty practices were and how fiercely contested every rep was. And they thought that put them in the best position to go win a national title, right? And this was before we knew Joe Burrow was going to be a freak and throw for 60 touchdowns, which he did, by the way. So we didn't know that they had an elite quarterback. We knew of him, but we didn't know that he was that guy or he was going to become that guy. And I remember kind of rolling my eyes at that, going, "Oh, we'll see. You got to get by Alabama. Well, I don't know about all that." But it reminded me of what we didn't have. What we didn't have were the level of intensity needed at every practice for fear that the guy behind you could take your job. The offensive line has that this year. The offensive line has it in a way that they haven't. It will be the story of camp. Knock on wood. We watch that elevated in every way possible because it just hasn't been in place. In the past, we've been looking for guys that were suitable starters. We just sat around going, do we have 5? Are there 5 players that you feel decent about? And now it's a matter of, do we have a true 2-deep? A true 2-deep on the offensive line. That's huge. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
News now.
A Madison County Sheriff's Office deputy was involved in a vehicle incident. At 12:30 p.m. Wednesday, a Madison County Sheriff's Office deputy and a citizen in a vehicle were involved in a crash at the intersection of Northeast Cottonwood and County Road 255. The incident led to injuries sustained and property damage. The report did not provide the conditions of the citizen or of the deputy, but the Florida Highway Patrol is investigating the incident. Every school in Leon County District will be getting Narcan for the upcoming school year. Wednesday, a volunteer with the Florida Harm Reduction Initiative trained LCS guardians on how to use the overdose treatment, but not just on how to administer Narcan, but also how to identify signs of an overdose, like blue skin and fingernails, slow heartbeat, and small pinpoint pupils. If you're interested or want to get a Narcan kit to have on hand, you can contact the Florida Harm Reduction Initiative at 850-583-0371. This is Rachel and Amy with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly cloudy skies expected this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 91. Winds out of the southwest 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 75. Partly cloudy skies. Chance for scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 92. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 92.
Let me tell you what T-Spark stands for. It stands for strength, commitment, teamwork, and heart. We don't ever quit until we've got nothing left to give. Our team is unstoppable. Want a guaranteed win? Call T-Spark Enterprises for your next roofing or construction project. We conquer all peaks. TSparkConstruction.com. License number CCC 1331204.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place. My goodness.
Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel, and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on their clothes. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
Think there was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness.
Kicking. It is a rare thing to witness a Pirates fan talking smack. I'll have to. We'll do it during probables. Tom, bad news. Obviously, seeing Jensen go down today. Camp just gets underway, and right off the bat, we have this problem. That is not good. I am crossing my fingers that it is nothing but Jensen hurt, carted off the field today for the Bucks, and of all the offensive linemen, damn it, man, love that guy. So. Camps have begun in the NFL too, but with that, we all hold our breath. It's kind of the way of the world. But if you lose Jensen, an emergency signing at center possible. I guess we'd have to look around the league and see who's going to get dumped.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation and not one you want because apparently, according to those on the scene at One Buck Place in Tampa, Jensen tossed his helmet when he went down with an injury. And a player like that doesn't usually chuck a helmet unless he feels like something's really bad. And the general manager, Jason Light, did say it was a knee injury. He was willing, or might have been Todd Bowles, but whoever it was at the press conference offered up that it was a knee injury. So you hope it's a sprain and not a tear, but that's what happens this time of year for all 32 teams.
Yeah, he's a really good player. That's a shame. Preston, to answer your question, he writes, Jeff, now that you're a big-time Tennessee insider and fan, he puts, how many wins for the Vols this year? I got to do my research before I go on with Brent. Brent Hubbs, who does a great job of truly being the expert covering Tennessee football. I will just serve as a host for Tennessee football once a week as a I guess I would tell you as a professional broadcaster. That's my role. They play. You want to do a little W's and L's for Tennessee, Tom, with me here? A non-traditional. Here we go. I'll do it. It's you gonna play it or no? Do you want to play it? No? All right. Ball State want to know. Boy, Ball State's gonna roll into Neyland. And I, as a Tennessee expert, will tell you that is not a competitive football game, Tom. I like Tennessee big there. That's the kind of expertise you guys in Knoxville are going to get from me this year. That game is on the SEC network. Then they play at Pitt. Could be a good game. Of course, they lost to Pitt a year ago. Different set of circumstances. That game was at Neyland a year ago, but it also featured a first-round draft pick at quarterback. Who you got in Tennessee Pitt, Tom?
Pitt's still working the Slovis thing out at the time of that particular game, so I will go with Tennessee. Old Rocket Top.
Yick, yick, you! 2-0. Then it's Akron. And then we really get down to business. We at Tennessee welcome in the Florida Gators to Neyland. on a Saturday. Let's hope the Volunteer Navy, as they're known, get that place rocking in Knoxville for a Saturday night contest, perhaps?
That has the makings, doesn't it?
It
Saturday
does.
night Neal. Remember when they had it with Pruitt and they had all that forward momentum and then they fumbled the ball and turned the ball over like 5 times in the first quarter?
Yes, I do. I'm gonna give Tennessee a big upset victory there. Big win at Neyland.
Oh, there it is. There. Oh, it's a W. I going with a W.
Oh, all right. I like it. Big W there. So we've got them 4-0 right now.
Yep. Oh,
and then it's off to Baton Rouge. This is where, if you're a Tennessee fan, I just want to give you a hug. Not because you're playing LSU in Baton Rouge, probably a night game, probably a fun game there. I'm going to pick LSU, by the way. That's your first loss. But because this is where you look at the schedule as a Tennessee fan, you go, come on, man. What the hell? It's LSU followed by Alabama. You get a brief respite to lick your wounds, and you take on UT Martin. And then it's Kentucky, Georgia, Mizzou, South Carolina, and Vandy. Not a bad way to end Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. But that middle of the sandwich is tough to bite off there. That Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama, LSU stretch will hurt your feelings.
Yeah, if they got LSU, though, I'm going with a W.
Ooh,
5-0, number 11 in the country for the next game they play when they're
all
going.
right. I'll do. I'm going to go 8-4 for Tennessee this year. I'm not going to go through. I can't get into it. I just did it to answer your question.
There's too much success. That's too many wins for Tennessee for your
life. It's a lot of wins. It's a lot of wins. Look at them. I've been to a game at Neyland before. When I was at ETSU, I drove over when we had an off week and went to a game at Neyland. Fun place, big, giant stadium, crazy rednecks everywhere. It's a good time, though. Knoxville's a fun little city. It's nothing wrong with Knoxville. I tease because I can. Big year for our friends in Wyoming. We'll have to do Wyoming maybe tomorrow on a Libations Friday.
Yeah.
Some folks in the chat are asking.
That fits very nicely with a Friday show, doesn't it?
It does. And, one of these days we're going to make it to Laramie. You and I, we're going to go to a game up in Laramie.
That better be like 15th on the list. We've still got to go to an Army-Navy game, sir.
My dad called me 2 weeks ago and said, this is the year. We've got to do Army-Navy. Let's go. He mentioned his health. How about my dad trying to guilt trip me? He's like, well, you just don't know at this age whether I'm going to have the health necessary to go and enjoy this game. So can we go this year, son? You've been telling me you're going to take me to an Army-Navy game for years. You've never I'm like, take you. You should be taking me. I'm the kid.
So there was something that came up last year. I forget why, but we've got a mutual friend who has the hookup on tickets. I don't know if that coach still is somebody who can grab you. So
the golf coach.
I had to turn down tickets this past year. It hurt my soul. There was something unavoidable that I had to do, and I forget what it was. But if that offer comes again this year, perhaps a different answer, sir.
I felt incredibly guilty. I have to let everybody know. I had the Navy coach on with us when Army played Navy. So we did the golf show that I do with Trey Jones on SiriusXM. We had both the Army coach and the Navy coach, and they fired his ass. They fired him at the end of the season, and here this guy was talking about how proud he was to be coaching there and how much it meant to him. And they were striving to have more success. They were starting to turn the program. It's hard. I mean, there's a lot of other responsibilities at Navy.
So when the coach of those programs is called in and they're going to get fired, do they say he's relieved? Like, you're relieved, coach.
Yeah, I don't know what they say, but he was such a nice man, and I still feel guilty about this. There is, bringing it back to Florida State football for a second, I was talking earlier in the show about I'm worried at receiver, and I don't know that until we get into games, anything is really going to change about that. I am going to be worried. I don't think it's a particularly strong unit. Somebody asked why Dugans was still here. I will tell you, he coached his butt off yesterday working with those guys. I never had a problem with that. He's just failed miserably in the recruiting department. And that's the hardest part. But to answer your question, the same thing, Tom and I talked about this yesterday on the show. The same thing about recruiting applies to coaches. So when you're talking about why certain levels of recruits aren't considering your program or how difficult it is to get a 4 or 5 star receiver to seriously consider coming to Florida State currently, kind of the catch-22 here is that my man isn't doing a good job of recruiting and getting yeses from those guys. But also, we're not exactly a prolific passing team that is lighting up the scoreboard and winning football games. So chicken or the egg sort of thing. And when you try to make a change at that position, a lot of coaches look at this staff currently and they view it as perhaps a group of dead men walking. And so when you step out of your own sort of Florida State shoes, if you will, and you look at it from the standpoint of, I've got a job, and let's say I'm the wide receivers coach at Penn State. I have a good job. My coach was just extended and got a raise. We're under no threat to be let go. They're not firing my coach anytime soon. I may want your job. I may think it's a big step up for me, more responsibility for me. I might even be offered more money to come coach at Florida State, because I think Florida State right now has to overpay for that position when they hire to be able to entice, to get people to come here. So maybe they're offering very competitive salaries at that position. Maybe they are, just saying. But nobody's going to say yes to that if they think that Mike's not going to be here in a year or two. So that's where the winning of games is going to help, not only in the yeses from the kids, but the yeses from the coaches as well, if you're trying to upgrade staff. And again, I don't root for guys to lose their job. I certainly don't dodge having the conversation either on an opinion-based show. So we're not going to ignore that. But Dugans is a special case in that he is, of course, a Nole himself, was on the national championship team, was a guy that was a very good player. I don't think he's I don't think it's a case of him not being committed. I just, for whatever reason, he has not been able to recruit. He has failed miserably. So, you have to hope that they win some games this year, and maybe that will entice these receivers. I brought it up with Akeem yesterday. He is going to visit. He'll be here this weekend.
He's already here today.
He's already here.
Yeah. Is AJ Duffy the potential bridge to recruiting receivers? I mean, because you don't sound like you have high hopes for Jordan Travis producing through the air to entice a 4 or a 5-star, short of an NIL deal. That's fantastic. Is it Duffy that's going to have to be the one that changes that particular identity?
Well, probably, but the reason I worry about Jordan isn't. I think when you phrase it that way, I just worry that people think that I think he can't play. He can play. He's a middle of the road ACC quarterback. He's not. I mean, he's a unique runner. Obviously, that skill is different than anybody else in the league. But he's not a great passer. But part of the reason that he's not a great passer, beyond that's just not who he is, they just don't have great wide receivers to make him look good. He doesn't have guys that. Who's up there winning those down the field 50-50 battles? He hasn't really had a guy that would do that, and he might. We'll see. He might have that this year if Johnny Wilson emerges as a potential target with that catch radius. It's huge, right? You don't have to separate when you're that big. Mike Evans doesn't often these days, when a corner knows he's on a go, he doesn't run past them. They're usually around them.
Yeah, I think what could happen this year, and I hold out hope for with the scheme, is if you recall last year, and everybody knows, if you look at the aptitude of running down to down, we couldn't block. And yet we'd set up long, explosive runs for production. If you've got an offensive line that's ACC above average, maybe not Power 5 above average, but ACC above average, and so in all of these Atlantic matchups, you can produce, maybe there's enough that they can scheme up and put on film to say, look, I got this guy 850 yards. Imagine what you'd get in this offense, because right now what we're working with is Memphis film to attract kids to come to Tallahassee. But if you have Florida State film that says, look at this 850-yard or 900-yard receiver, I know he's wide open on a lot of these plays, but you're going to be wide open too. Now you're going to win 50-50 battles on top of that. Imagine the numbers that you're going to put up with us, because right now all they have to work with is Pokey Wilson's 300 and change yards from last year being our leading wide receiver.
Well, that's embarrassing. Yeah, that's embarrassing. That's less than ideal. I'm going to go ahead and go on the record, Tom. Our leading receiver will have more than 300 yards this year. I do believe that. I think they're going to break the 500-yard barrier. Woo! Let's be bold.
What's that Price is Right game where like the horn of the car honks?
Oh yeah.
Will the leading receiver have more than 500 yards? You honking the horn? All right. 600 yards. Oh.
No honk. No. If you're considering buying a new home in the current climate, you know that demand is high, inventory low. How do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers, all making offers on the same house as you? That can be a toughie. First place to suggest, or I'd suggest, is you start with a call to my friend Shannon. Hello, Shannon. If you're listening, appreciate you, buddy. At Legendary Home Loans. Get you set up with complete pre-approval underwriting. No longer an upgrade. Nowadays, pretty standard. If you want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans, and you'll shorten, even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will certainly know that your offer is very, very real. It's tough out there, folks. You got to have an advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle. Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com. Let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers, all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. It used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks. So why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
This is a court-ordered notice. If you were subject to the data breaches of the United States Office of Personnel Management and you experienced an out-of-pocket loss after the breaches, you could be eligible for a payment from a class action settlement. To see if you're eligible, go to opmdatabreach.com or call 1-855-917-3567. That's opmdatabreach.com or call 1-855-917-3567.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-8866. That's 800-857-8866.
Let me tell you what T-Spark stands for. It stands for strength, commitment, teamwork, and heart. We don't ever quit until we've got nothing left to give. Our team is unstoppable. Want a guaranteed win? Call T-Spark Enterprises for your next roofing or construction project. We conquer all peaks. T-SparkConstruction.com. License number CCC 1331204.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness.
Excited by the Mets and what they've accomplished and what happened there against the hated Yankees. Good job, Metropolitans. Your wife was at that game, right?
She was standing room only down the third base line, but first base line, but right around first base. So good seats. She got to see Aaron Judge strike out 3 times in huge spots against Max Scherzer, which was fun. But
she also got to see Pete Alonso go yard again.
He did. He is locked the hell in. I don't know if a lot of you people know that out there, but Pete Alonso is a good baseball player and a good hitter.
Yeah, he is really good. Better than anybody the Pirates have. All right, here you go. Cue it up, good sir. Fire away. Let's get to it.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Apparently, the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore Orioles are going to play each other every day for the rest of the season. What the hell are we doing with the scheduling? 57 games against the Orioles or the Rays these days. Baltimore currently leads Tampa Bay in the 7th inning, 1-0. Ryan Yarbrough started for the Rays, and Jordan Lyles, formerly of the Pirates, also not any good, started for the Orioles, but he had a good day. Marlins Reds, Daniel Castano and Graham Ashcroft. That game is 4-3 Cincinnati in the 6th. Pirates Phillies tonight. Let's go Buccos. Zach Wheeler starting for the Phillies. We'll bust his ass up. Zach Thompson. Battle of the Zacks going for the Buccos. Our lineup is anemic. Could be a complete game shutout for Zach Wheeler. Royals, Yankees, Brady Singer and Jamison Tyon. We got the Tigers and the Blue Jays. Tyler Alexander. Yusikaguchi. Guardians, Red Sox, Tristan McKenzie and Cutter Crawford. By the way, I don't know Cutter Crawford all that well, but I would guess, Tom, Cutter Crawford is one of those members of the club that you just don't like.
Yeah, Cutter Crawford might take liberties with some of the rules of golf.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
He spells his name Kutter, Cutter Crawford. Get the hell out of here.
Cutter, are you pitching from short of the bunker? I'm pretty sure that went in the bunker. No.
No, I got lucky. Rolled out. Just off the lip there. Got lucky. Mariners, Astros, Logan Gilbert, Jose Urquidy. Dodgers, Rockies, Tyler Anderson and Jose Urena. Rangers, Angels, Spencer Howard, Shohei Ohtani. He's good at baseball. Cubs, Giants, Justin Steele and Alex Wood. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Yeah, he's always coming through for you guys in the bigger games. I wish I had a player that came through for my team in a big baseball game. We don't play big baseball games in Pittsburgh these days, but man, it's been since Andrew McCutcheon. Been a minute.
That has been a minute. We did get your best hitter, at least from an ops standpoint, in Vogelbach. But you've got that young shortstop who's like 6'8", right?
6'7".
6'7".
Neil Cruz throws 97 across the diamond. Highest, fastest throw across the diamond registered since they've been measuring these things for an infielder. Yes, and he's got uncanny power. The lever is pretty interesting with those long arms. It goes a long way, but he's got a whole lot to learn. Ton of swing and miss in him. A lot of empty at bats, but buddy, that bat speed. I watched him hit one about 450 feet the other day, and it was just sort of just a flick, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, that's different."
He's a lefty, is that correct?
Yes, he hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is we've seen, in basketball, wings and point guards that can now be the size of Kevin Durant.
6'10", 6'11", yeah.
Aaron Judge is now playing a really good center field. You wouldn't think he'd be a good center fielder, but he is range-wise for the Yankees. You've got a 6'7" shortstop. Maybe baseball is finally catching up, where it's not a bunch of 5'7" to 5'11" dudes that are on the infield. Maybe you'll have 6'6" second baseman and shortstops on the regular.
I think Cruz will eventually get moved to right field because he's got a cannon for an arm and he can run like the wind blows. So if he can just figure it out, that'll be a good position for him. He's an average defensive shortstop. He does have obviously a big wingspan and he does have a cannon. His overall footwork is probably better suited to be an outfielder though. He's a fun player to watch. He's the only fun player the Pirates have. There's a whole lot of nothingness. I mean, the other day they rolled out against Sandy Alcantara, Kevin Newman atop the lineup with who was batting second for us? I think it's somebody hitting 202, and then we had Tatugo, who's hitting a cool 154. I was like, oh, that's a good lineup.
Yeah, that's, in the last 20 seconds, I'll say if you're a Braves fan, a Met, anybody out there, this trading deadline's interesting. It's the first one in years where you've got a lot of contenders shopping.
Good work out of you, brother. Good work, Director Matthew, Producer Matthew, and thanks to all of you. Off to practice I go. We'll meet again tomorrow, shall we? Libations Friday edition. It'll be fun. Be good, everybody.